I've been in love with Ashton for 8 years. He proposed to me 12 times. Every time I said yes, Ashton would say, "Wait a little longer." Until he got everything ready. When he proposed for the 13th time, I finally let it go. "Let's break up. Let's stop torturing ourselves. Okay? Are you coming over tonight?" "Sure." I gave up all my original plans and drove to Jinking Times. At that time, Ashton was dealing with work in the study, wearing gold-rimmed glasses and a Prada suit, still looking meticulous. "You're here?" My idea of staring him from behind was shattered, so I could only reply with a disappointed yeah, and then reached out to put my arms around his neck. "Ashton, it's our anniversary next week. How about we go to Benchai Hotel? Have a meal, and then climb Lushan Mountain to watch the sunrise. I heard Lee's, too. You decide. I'm working for now." Ashton stiffened slightly, frowned, and gently broke free from my hand around his neck, replying neither too softly nor too harshly. "Oh." I withdrew my hand, not feeling embarrassed either. Ashton doesn't like being disturbed when he's working. Only I keep pestering him again, and finally get his semi-ignoring permission to be present at his workplace like a transparent person. But that's all. Maybe it can be considered as taking 1 centimeter of the long march. I sat on the living room sofa until 11 o'clock. When sleepiness hit, Ashton finally finished his work. He bent down and hugged me. I looked up at him and coquettously said, "I'm so sleepy from waiting." Ashton carried me into the bedroom. The moonlight outside the window fell on the balcony. Looking into his eyes, I couldn't help but say, "Can you kiss me? As long as you kiss me, I'll still like you so much." At other times, any of me coquetry is useless. He would only respond in that helpless, annoyed, and reproachful tone. But Ashton wouldn't reject me at this time. Otherwise he wouldn't have sent me a message on his own initiative. "It's so nice." He really kissed me. With a fresh citrus fragrance. It smelled so good that I thought he must like me a lot to kiss me so gently. I kissed him back obediently, showing him my full-blown love with great enthusiasm, even though he had never been moved for a moment. Even though today he said he didn't have time to have lunch with me. And then I saw him in Arya's Moments. It was a photo that Arya secretly took of him in a perfume store, trying out perfumes. In the photo, his eyes and brows were soft. A look I had never seen on him when he was with me. "Love of citrus." That was Arya's caption. So sweet. I even liked it with my alternate account. Just like a passerby who had nothing to do with them. Speaking of which, in the 8 years of my relationship with Ashton, he never seemed to have happily gone shopping with me. I was too lazy to ask him to go shopping later. Isn't it true that people never have a good mood when they go shopping? It's so unfair to shopping. After that, I took a bath, got dressed, looked at Ashton in his sleep with reluctance, and then quietly left Ashton's house. The greenery in Jinking Times is very good, and the air in the middle of the night is also very fresh. It's not that I like to wander around in the middle of the night, but I don't want to see the moment of trance and annoyance on Ashton's face when he wakes up and wonders why I'm beside him. It's too dazzling, it also hurts too much. So I might as well leave in the middle of the night and go home to have a good sleep. I'm a coward who doesn't want to admit that I'm not loved. And I can't stay away from him. So I have to hide and not see this possible scene. This is not weakness, but helplessness. Everyone has their own exception. And Ashton is mine. I really love him to the core. Even though he tears off my few remaining bits of dignity again and again. "You ran away in the middle of the night again." I was eating soybean milk and fried dough sticks. And quickly freed a hand to reply. "Experts say this is called spice. Only in this way will you look forward to my next appearance." What? Do you miss me? Confess your love now, and I might consider flying over. I'm going to work. It's always like this. He knows that just a gentle word of concern from him would make me grateful. But he's extremely stingy. In these 8 years, it seems that it's always me taking the initiative unilaterally. Trying to figure out his preferences. What he likes to eat. What movies he likes to watch. I would feel the world was wonderful just by getting a little smile from him occasionally. He's like an interviewer. waiting for me to make mistakes so that he can tell me without guilt that I'm not qualified and then turn to Arya. But I'm a stubborn one, insisting on taking root in his heart. It doesn't matter if he doesn't like me, as long as I like him. I've known this since I first saw him in college. In fact, Ashton has never understood why I like him so much. Because there are no unforgettable memories between us. He was the president of the school student union and was adored by many people. I saw him from afar once and then fell in love at first sight. I took the initiative to find opportunities to participate in social events. Had the nerve to add him as a friend. And chatted with him about unimportant topics on WeChat, barely becoming friends with him. After he failed to confess his love to Arya, I approached him and confessed to him. Ashton agreed. But he told me that the only one he really liked was Arya. And I should be clear about this. He would never like me. At that time, I just wanted to be with him. Thinking that with time, even the coldest heart could be melted. But I never expected that a piece of ice would turn into water. But what about an iceberg? Could it really be melted? The assistant brought the winery information. Next, we need to go to the neighboring city for due diligence, which will take 3 days. During the day, besides being busy, I also need to send messages to Ashton at a frequency of at least 1 message per hour. The fruits in the winery are very sweet, and the workers are particularly straightforward. They even dragged me to have a drinking competition. There is a kind of pale white flower blooming all over the mountains, but I don't know its name. Ashton, are you free next week? How about going camping together? A long-lost sense of anticipation lingered in my heart, so much so that I was a bit absent-minded, and my assistant was worried if I was sick. 2 hours later, Ashton replied, I have to go home to celebrate my dad's birthday next week. Okay. Then we can go when we have a chance in the future. Having a chance to do something in the future seems to have become a fixed pattern between him and me. It's as if he has proposed to me many times. But he has never thought of taking me home to meet his parents. Every time he says we'll do it when we have a chance in the future. In fact, I went to their house once. It was Ashton's birthday. And I went to find him. But he wasn't at home at that time. So I met his parents. After learning that I was Ashton's girlfriend, they were suspicious. And then greeted me politely but distantly. The 3 of us just sat on the sofa, watching TV and drinking the already cold tea. I left without waiting for Ashton in the end. I really couldn't stay in such an environment for too long. It would make me breathless. It would also make me more acutely aware of how little Ashton valued me. Love leaves traces. Half of his parents' attitude towards me comes from him. If he had even a little affection for me, maybe it wouldn't be like this. I never took the initiative to ask him when he would take me home to meet his parents. And I never mentioned this matter again. Only when he proposed to me did a glimmer of hope flash in my heart. I agreed every time. But he would always say wait a little longer. Until he arranged everything. At first, I would be sad. But when I realized that it was his way of making up for me when his guilt towards me reached its peak, I stopped being sad. His momentary guilt would always wake up the next moment. The reason is that he just doesn't love me. He's not someone who can't love. Nor is he someone who will always treat people with frost, cold words, and indifference. He just can't love me. Never. Recently, a typhoon suddenly hit. And the downpour came as soon as it could. Work, like the weather, entered a difficult mode. The winery project got stuck with the venture capital. They said that neither the industry prospects nor the rate of return were promising. However, the end of this quarter is approaching. If the project is really cut, the performance of our department won't look good. I could only be busy preparing more materials and having more meetings, hoping to persuade the venture capital. I slept for less than 4 hours in 3 days. The physical exhaustion piled up, just waiting for an opportunity to burst out. Nora, why don't you go home and rest? You can't keep going like this. We can do the rest. Zooin brought a cup of warm water over. Wendy is right. And it seems this project won't pass. There's no need to hurt your body for it. Luna said seriously. You should spend this time in love with Ashton. If I had a boyfriend like Ashton, I'd stick to him every day. I gently pressed my stomach. It really hurt. But I could only force a bitter smile and say, "You're still too young to think that love is everything. Working hard to earn money and buy a house is the real thing. Performance is the key. It's what we." My colleagues didn't show any change on their faces. But their ears were secretly perked up, ready to gossip. Ashton's voice was still clear but a bit slurred. As if he was drunk. "Come over." Before I could say anything, Ashton called. And my hand shook, accidentally turning on the speakerphone. "Stay with me." I was stunned. I could barely speak clearly. "Ashton. Are you drunk? Isn't Max Wang with you?" "It's different. Come quickly." He was a bit impatient. Maybe being drunk made him seem more human. Like a child. After hanging up the phone, I looked at the dense data and materials on the computer. And then at my colleagues. This was so embarrassing. The part about the prospect plan can be made more detailed. You guys decide the rest. When I said this, my face was burning. Who would have thought that saying a bit of chicken soup like words would immediately be slapped in the face? "Wendy. You." Zhuan waved his hand and teased. "Go and be with your boyfriend. We understand." Luna's mischievous smile made me even more embarrassed. But the joy in my heart was clearer. Because of Ashton. Ashton was at home. When I opened the door, his tie and suit were scattered all over the floor. And he was lying on the sofa like a dog. I went over and rubbed his face. "Ashton. Wake up. Take a bath, and then go to bed." Ashton opened his eyes. The corners of his mouth turned up, and he said in a low voice, "Arya." I pretended not to see her and went to the bathroom to run water. Then helped him to the bathroom with some difficulty. It's not so much about feeling uncomfortable, but rather that compared to those major hardships, this is nothing. After coming into contact with the water, Ashton became a bit more sober. He turned his head slightly, and his eyes gradually cleared. "When did you come?" I still had a playful smile on my face. "I came as soon as I sensed you missing me. This is probably the tacit understanding between us. Be serious." "I won't." I scanned his body up and down, making admiring noises from time to time. Ashton's expression gradually tensed. "I can manage on my own. You can go out first." Before walking out, I even whistled. At least I got to feast my eyes. Right? I waited until Ashton finished showering and came out. It was already quite late. And I had the idea of going back. Ashton seemed to notice. He coughed lightly. "It's raining heavily outside. Are you still going back tonight? Do you want me to stay?" I asked with a smile. Ashton didn't say anything. I sighed inwardly and then took the initiative to diffuse the situation. "No. I have a project to rush back and work overtime on. There's a lot more work towards the end of the quarter. It's too far from here to my company. So it's not convenient. It takes an hour to drive. I'm really tired." Ashton seemed a bit displeased and coldly replied, "As you like." Then entered the room without any intention of seeing me downstairs. I didn't take it to heart. I went downstairs. Drove back home. And my stomach was in turmoil. I felt dizzy all over. I found some stomach medicine and cold medicine. Swallowed them haphazardly. And fell asleep on the sofa without even having the energy to take off my clothes. That's it. I told myself in my heart. No one should be hurt again and again. Why not leave? But he's Ashton. When liking someone becomes a habit. And you've learned all their preferences, tastes, and tempers. These things become like shackles, trapping you and making it hard to break free. I let out another sigh. But it's him. And next morning, I groggily got up to answer Ashton's call. He said in a deep voice, "I'm sorry about last night. Nora. Let's get married. Here we go again. The 12th proposal." "Okay. When?" Ashton paused. "Wait a little longer. We'll hold the wedding when things are less busy in a while." I didn't take it seriously. Instead, I was thinking. So he really feels sorry for me? So he can, out of guilt, want to make up for it after hurting me again and again? He's really unlucky. I'm a person who likes to get to the bottom of things, and I'm quite stubborn. I'm not the kind of naive and sweet girl in TV shows who's willing to sacrifice everything. I'm not stupid enough to be dedicated wholeheartedly. Ashton. I won't talk anymore. I need to drive. I have my own selfish motives. I want to have Ashton all to myself. But I can't do it. Then I can only give up. At least I can do this. After much struggle, the winery project finally had no hope left. The colleagues in the department had already guessed this. Although they were sad, I could only accept it. We had spent a lot of energy on it, but still got no results. The colleagues were worried that I'd be sad. So they made an appointment to have a party and relax in the evening. Actually, they didn't need to do this. I'm already quite good at adjusting my mindset. I couldn't refuse. After work, we went to a hot pot restaurant that we'd been wanting to try for a long time in a lively atmosphere. The soup base and desserts in this restaurant were excellent. Everyone had a great meal. When our enthusiasm hadn't waned, we decided to move to a KTV halfway. It was 11:30 by the time we left in groups. I didn't drink much, but I still didn't plan to drive. While waiting for the designated driver, I happened to see Ashton and Arya coming out of a jewelry store. The gentle and charming Arya was smiling happily, and Ashton was carrying things, being very dutiful. What bad luck. It should have been a nice evening. I don't have any ill feelings towards Arya. Because of Ashton. We've actually met quite a few times. She's a very smart person. Smart and good-looking women are always likable, and I'm no exception. I even took the initiative to get close to her, thinking of borrowing some of the aura of this beautiful woman. But Ashton was preconceived, believing that I had a bad impression of Arya. Taking the initiative to get close to her seemed strange to him. He even warned me not to have any bad intentions. As if I would secretly drug Arya's drink and do some stupid things commonly seen in novels. I was speechless. I thought to myself, what kind of stereotype is this? Women love looking at beautiful women. Why would he think I'd dislike Arya just because of him? Ashton thought that since I didn't defend myself, there must be something wrong. I could only swear to show that I had nothing to hide. Ashton seemed at a loss at that time and left with the bats for the best. His voice carried some regret and annoyance, as if blaming me for not being jealous. Later, I figured it out. He hoped to find fault with me and take the opportunity to break up. And this time, it wasn't because I saw their sweet appearance that I felt unlucky. I just started thinking about whether I should leave in advance. Meaning break up. I originally wanted to indulge a little longer. After all, once we break up, I can no longer claim to be Ashton's girlfriend. Of course, I should cherish the time. I dialed a call. Ashton answered. What's up? I have something to talk to you about. Ashton glanced at Arya. I'm a bit busy right now. I'll talk to you later. Shopping with Arya? Maybe because I decided to let go. Actually saying this sentence made me feel rather relieved. Ashton scanned the surroundings and seemed to frown slightly. Are you nearby? Arya wanted to buy a gift for her mom, so I'm just accompanying her to choose. Don't think too much. Nora, are you listening? Maybe because Arya was beside him, Ashton became much softer. He even gave a few more explanations. Under normal circumstances, I would have been very happy. But at this time, it was rather inappropriate. I'm listening. But I want to talk now. Ashton. Ashton walked to the side and said. I know what you want to say. It's about the trip next week. Right? I'll go back and discuss it with you. Then he hung up the phone, cutting off my words about breaking up. The arrival of the designated driver interrupted my thoughts even more, as if giving me an excuse to avoid the topic. I got in the car, leaned back in the back seat, and started looking for travel guides of surrounding cities. Next Saturday is the anniversary of my relationship with Ashton. Ashton still remembers. I want to give it one more try. The last time, Ashton started looking for me more frequently. Sometimes, we would just lie on the sofa and watch TV without doing anything else. He even took the initiative to ask me if I wanted to move in with him. Live together? It's a good proposal. But I refused. It's kind of funny. 3 years into our relationship, I used to pester Ashton every day, wanting to move into his house and live with him. Doing things that couples should do. Eating together. Doing housework. Watching horror movies. Taking a walk after dinner to digest. And kissing the ripples between his brows without restraint. At that time, I had just changed jobs not long ago, and my boss was closely monitoring our performance. But I still took the plunge and asked for a week's leave to stay at Ashton's house. No matter what Ashton said, I wouldn't leave. After a few days, Ashton stopped objecting and let me stay at his place. More or less, I managed to do those things with my thick-skinned attitude. This was probably the sweetest part of this strange relationship of mine. But this sweetness turned bitter from the day I accidentally broke a music box. When Ashton saw the broken music box, he suddenly got very angry. He was stern, asking me why I touched that music box. It was a gift Arya gave him in high school, and I shouldn't touch things I wasn't supposed to. I didn't have time to feel sad and tried to joke it off, that Ashton was still angry and didn't come home for 2 weeks. I took the initiative to find Arya, apologized to her, and asked her where she bought the music box, wanting to buy a new one. At that time, Arya didn't remember much about the music box. It took her a while to recall, and she searched for a long time before finding the address of the Taobao store. It was a small item worth over 40 yuan. But Ashton treated it like a treasure. I put the new music box in Ashton's house, carefully tidied up the place, and then moved out. Looking up at the sky from under the tree, the stars seem close to each other. But in fact, they are far apart. Ashton and I are like that. Even if we're in the same room, after clearing the fog on the sea of our hearts, we'll find that there's a gully separating our two seas. I tried desperately to build a bridge, but no matter how I built it, the bridge would collapse halfway because of Ashton. I have a thick skin, so I forced myself to forget about it and coaxed Ashton to come home. That was also the first time Ashton proposed to me. I happily agreed, but in the end, it was quietly forgotten, and no one mentioned it again. Later, I never spent the night at his house again. Every time I went there, besides pestering him, I would always sit properly on the sofa in the living room and not touch other things. It was as if I was warning myself about something. Like Ashton's principles. Those principles that, before I met Ashton, I wouldn't have cared about at all. So what if I become an ostrich for love? A turtle with its head retracted lives a long life. But the thing that I couldn't get before, now being offered by Ashton on his own initiative, still surprised me. Although it seems a bit late now. If I didn't know that Ashton doesn't have me in his heart, I might even suspect that he saw something and started the classic routine of hitting someone with a stick and then giving a sweet date. And another meaning of the routine is that you can see it, but you can't avoid it. Because the willing fish takes the bait. However, even if I don't agree to lie together, I still feel a bit happy. Some fantasies that were almost submerged float up again. People are always reluctant to admit defeat. Maybe Ashton and I will really be together forever. There's just a little way to go now. But if I take one step and he takes one step, won't we get through it? I hummed a song and almost seemed to arrive at a private restaurant in the neighboring city on the wind. The restaurant is located by the sea and is transformed from a villa. It operates on a membership-only basis. The best seats on the rooftop are especially in high demand. If it weren't for the connections of the winery owner, I wouldn't have been able to reserve a seat. Although the winery project has been put on hold, the owner is open-minded. We've become drinking buddies instead, and he often sends me some undiluted liquor. When he learned that this was a date for my boyfriend and me to celebrate our anniversary, he generously sent a bottle of aged vintage. He even winked at me, telling me to seize the opportunity, saying that the wine was very strong and that it would be a wonderful thing to take the initiative. I explained several times that we had been in a relationship for many years. This was our anniversary. Not the early stage of a relationship that needed the help of alcohol. We had long. I choked on my words, and half of my face turned red. The boss bowed it and said, "Nora, you've come to my place so many times. But your boyfriend doesn't stick to you. You're the one preparing for the anniversary. How deep can your relationship be? Listen to me. Drink a couple more bottles of wine. And go get married tomorrow morning. Everyone will be happy. Hugo, you don't need to worry about this. Please, don't come up with such bad ideas. Be careful, or I'll tell your wife that you're pretending to be a love expert and fooling people outside." Hugo seemed quite afraid of his wife and immediately fell silent. however. His eyes were full of smiles. And he didn't really seem scared. Your sister-in-law might support me in teaching you like this. Hugo left with a playful smile, leaving me waiting for Ashton in the rooftop garden. He had been on a business trip these days but promised to fly over from Shanghai today, and was supposed to arrive at around 8 o'clock. It was a bit later than expected, but he could still make it in time. The wind by the sea carried a fishy smell, which wasn't very pleasant, but looking at the blue sea, it didn't seem that unbearable. I really like the sea. It's vast and boundless, nurturing countless lives, and is full of mystery. I've always wanted to travel around the world by ship, but I never had the chance. Ashton thought that the days of being seasick and vomiting on the deck were just asking for trouble, so I never mentioned it again. But if Ashton and I could be closer, maybe one day we could travel around the world by ship together. It was a beautiful day with beautiful weather. The sun was swallowed by the sea, and there was no light in the distance. Only laughter came from the beach below. By 7:30, Ashton still hadn't replied to my messages, and I couldn't get through to him on the phone. The restaurant owner's wife also asked when to serve the food. They have a daily quota, and the chefs leave on time. If I didn't order the food soon, no one would cook it after the time passed. I apologized and told them they could start serving. The dishes were all served at around 8:20. By 9 o'clock, they were completely cold. The fireworks celebration below also ended at 9:20. The energetic figures on the beach gradually dispersed in the cool sea breeze, and I drank a whole bottle of the aged vintage. It felt like my body was on fire. But there was one place that was cold. Ashton's call finally came. He seemed to have been through something and was out of breath. He said, "Sorry. The flight was delayed, and I had to change." "Ashton," I interrupted him. "Let's not be together anymore." Saying this was much easier than I had imagined. Maybe it was because the last chain that bound these words had broken. Ashton was stunned. "Nora, I know I shouldn't have. But listen to me. I got off the plane as soon as possible. But then there was a problem with the car. And I had to. It doesn't matter," I said. "I just think it's about time. It's not because you missed this date that I want to give up. I don't care about any reason you have. Ashton. It's actually quite strange. What often influences a person's decision-making isn't some unforgettable event, but those ordinary little things in life. Constant dripping wears away the stone. Every memory of the past 8 years was a weight that cut this relationship. In the end, it was always just too tiring. That's it. You don't have to regard me as a burden and push me aside anymore. Nora, I'll give you a chance to take back those words. I can pretend I didn't hear them." Ashton suddenly turned cold. I didn't hesitate. "I won't take them back." "You really don't care about any reason? What if I said I was lying to you just now? That I was actually going out with Arya and deliberately stood you up? Aren't you angry? Don't you care?" Ashton seemed to be getting angry. Well, of course. He would be. The person who had been pestering him and regarding him as a treasure suddenly said they didn't care. He was so proud. How could he stand being dumped? "How about you say, break up, now? And then I'll pretend you dumped me. It'll sound better when I tell others in the future." Facing the wind, I summoned up my voice to tease. Although it wasn't very funny. And it even completely enraged Ashton. I heard the sound of something being smashed on the phone. And his angry shouts of "Hurry up. I'm leaving." After a while, Ashton's tone suddenly became calm. "You said you would always like me. And that's why I was with you. I did say that when I confessed my love. I said I would never change. I still remember the way I entrusted my heart without reservation back then. But now I can't feel the same way. Once something cools down, it's hard to heat it up again. Ashton. I'm sorry. The alcohol was taking effect, giving me the opportunity to say things I couldn't usually say. It's me who didn't keep the promise. But Ashton." I suddenly laughed. "I don't know when I couldn't be the same as before. Maybe it was when you were dating Arya. Maybe it was when you were cold-shouldering me and always ignoring me. Maybe it was when you always said to me, 'We'll do it when we have a chance.' And then forgot about it right away." I said, "Next week," so many times. Imagine so much. But Ashton always made excuses and never reciprocated with sincerity. People can't always look at the future optimistically. They'll feel bad when they encounter setbacks and feel heartbroken when they're ignored. I'm not without feelings. It's just that liking you made me ignore these things. It's like being blinded by a single leaf. I thought I wouldn't get tired. But now I know that everyone gets tired. We're all the same. Ashton hesitated for a moment and said hoarsely. You could have told me. There's no need. I concluded. Ashton got angry. Yes, had in so session. There is a need. As long as I don't allow it. You can never break up. Ashton. I won't change my decision. Just like I won't agree to live with you. Ashton fell silent. And I hung up the phone before he could say anything. Nervous and excited about having accomplished a big thing. I laughed and then squatted down. Holding my stomach. Tears streamed down freely. Not everything in this world follows the principle that hard work pays off. At least love doesn't. Besides the full-blown love. A bit of luck is also needed. Unfortunately, I've never been a lucky person. It's still just a little bit short. What a pity. But I finally have to remove that leaf from my eyes. The sea breeze blew apart the morning glow. Another day. Ashton didn't come looking for me. Maybe it was because of his pride. Waiting for me to reach out to him. Maybe there were other reasons. But it didn't matter to me anymore. This quiet life is much better than I expected. Work is still busy. I have to prepare for the project meetings of the new quarter. Look for more suitable companies in the industry. I wake up to work. Striving for the balance in my bank account. In this world, who can't live without whom? Finn was shocked when he learned that I had broken up with Ashton. He almost immediately closed his milk tea shop and came to inquire about the details. Damn it. Nora. You're not thinking of doing something stupid. Are you? That was exactly what Finn said. Even after seeing me. He still couldn't put his mind at ease and kept asking. How could you give up Ashton? Are you really giving up? Or is it just to attract his attention and make him treat you better? How many misunderstandings do you have about me? I was speechless. Finn pouted. If you knew how much you've been licking him these years, you'd know my question is absolutely valid. Ask Wendy and Troy. Don't they all think the same? Then I'll say it again seriously. My relationship with Ashton is over. Trust me. Bro. Are you sure? Maybe Ashton just needs to say something. And you'll go crawling back to him. Nora. You've spent 8 years on him. Can you really let go of the efforts of these 8 years? Won't you regret it? No. I won't. For me, giving up means giving up. I won't change my mind. But as for regretting, why should I regret? He had already told me the result. I was naive. This is just the end. And in these 8 years, my kindness to him has also exchanged for him as a person. He didn't cheat me out of my money. What's there to regret about using my love to get some peace in life? I coughed softly and pressed on. But Finn, you, a lifelong single person, probably don't understand. Rascal. How dare you humiliate me like this? Finn was so excited that he almost jumped up. But Finn reluctantly believed me and then offered to have a get-together sometime to relax. I understood what he meant. No. The Mid-Autumn Festival is coming. I'm going home to accompany my parents. By the way, the pomegranates at my home are ripe. I'll send you some in a few days. Okay. Going home is good. When Roy comes back from his performance abroad, we'll go to your place for a gathering. Finn mentioned this and sounded a bit resentful. You were so focused on Ashton before that we could never get together. Don't stand us up this time. Finn and the others are my childhood friends. We've known each other for almost 20 years. After starting work, we've each gone our own way and rarely met. But we've agreed to meet at least twice a year. It's not that difficult. But several times the meeting was interrupted because Ashton suddenly wanted to see me. There was nothing I could do. I became the representative of being more interested in romance than friends in our childhood friends group. Do I feel a bit regretful? A little. But when the person you like beckons you to meet them, who can resist? The Mid-Autumn Festival falls on a Monday. With a 3-day weekend including Saturday and Sunday. On Friday night, I drove to a small town in the city. Beifeng Town. This is a well-known peach-growing area. In recent years, the agritainment industry has also been booming. My parents opened a homestay themselves. There are some fruits and vegetables planted in the yard. Pomegranates in this season are especially sweet. Although we're in the same city, my busy work in Ashton have made me seldom go home. My sudden arrival this time surprised them a bit. Victor frowned and said, "After dinner, accompany me to practice calligraphy for a while. I want to see if you've slacked off." My mom smiled and started preparing meals for me. I held her back, leaned on her, and said, "Mom." After a moment of silence, Victor came over and said, "Since you're home this time, stay for a few more days. I have work to do," I said glumly. "Then quit," Victor said without hesitation. "We're not dead yet. Can't we afford to support you?" A familiar hand covered my head. "Is it Ashton?" I nodded and just quietly leaned against her, not wanting to do anything else. Soon, let out a low sigh. I became energetic again. I took a fork and went to the yard to knock down pomegranates. The moonlight was quiet, and the pomegranates were big and red. I picked up a split pomegranate and lay on a rattan chair. Before I knew it, a shadow fell on my face. I opened my eyes and saw Ashton leaning over me, his eyes gloomy. "Nora, are you avoiding me?" I wasn't really surprised. It's not difficult for Ashton to find someone, as long as he puts in a little effort. It's understandable that he's this angry. After all, for men, let out a low sigh, face matters a lot. It's understandable that he can't wait to get back at me after his self-esteem has been hurt. "I'm not avoiding you. I'm just on vacation and came home to visit. I've spent a little time with my family and friends these years." Ashton didn't move his eyes for a moment. His thin lips slightly pursed. "If that's the reason, you can go home more often and spend more time with your friends. I won't restrict you. Nora, I can give you another chance to take back what you said. We can go back to the way we were before, as long as... But I don't want to go back to the past," I said as I broke open the remaining half of the pomegranate, lowered my head, and didn't bother to listen to what he left unsaid. "It's over between us. If you're still angry, you can say it to me. I really don't feel ashamed. I can accept it." The pomegranate seed suddenly seemed a bit sour, and I lost my appetite. After waiting for a while, Ashton just stood there stiffly. There seemed to be fire in his eyes. He took off his suit jacket, endured the pain, and took off his shirt. "If you're still blaming me for not coming that day, I can explain. The flight was delayed, so I had to transfer to another route and then drive to find you. It's true." Ashton's tone was fierce, but his voice dropped lower and lower. In the end, he even sounded a bit aggrieved, like a wounded dog wanting to be comforted. He looked at me, as if certain that I would soften my heart. Looking at the scars on his arm that hadn't fully healed, I couldn't ignore them. "Nora, you don't care about me anymore." Ashton stretched out his hand. The hideous scars were explaining for him. He had been in a car accident, a serious one, and he had been recuperating these days. The face I had loved for 8 years showed weakness for the first time. Who wouldn't feel bad? I messaged D-Max Wang. "You'd better go home and rest earlier. I begged you like this." "Don't you believe me?" Ashton said anxiously. "What on earth do I have to do for you to come back?" At this moment, I was unusually calm. "Because it's never been about believing or not believing," I replied casually. "I just don't love you anymore. I don't think there's anything I can't face about the past 8 years. When I loved someone, the stupid things I did were my own decisions, and I deserve all the consequences." But why does Ashton look sad at this moment? "Nora, you're so cruel." He was stunned and said this sentence, word by word. "Nora, who are you talking to?" Victor shouted. Someone asked for directions. "I'll be done soon. My dad is calling me to practice calligraphy. Do you have anything else? If not, I'll go in." I thought for a while and then said, Oh, by the way, I've kept all the gifts you gave me. They're all unopened, and the tags and certificates are all complete. They should sell for quite a bit of money." You probably haven't received the news because you've been in the hospital these days. They should be at the courier station now. Now we should be even. Right? Finn always said I was stupid. The gifts Ashton gave were so expensive. Why didn't I use them? I didn't say the reason at that time. But actually, I always knew that I just wanted to say we were even after we broke up. Even when I liked Ashton so much, I still made this plan. It seems I didn't have much confidence back then. After all, it's hard to exchange one's heart for another's. I don't blame him. And there's no reason to keep expensive gifts after breaking up. I don't need them. Ashton almost shouted. He turned around, his voice desolate. If you don't want them, just throw them away. I won't take them. He lowered his head. I had never seen such a strong sense of desolation on him. Then Trouble Max winged to throw them away. I clapped my hands, and threw the pomegranate that I had unknowingly crushed into the grass. I turned my back. I didn't look at him. So this is what it feels like to not like Ashton anymore. My heart seems to have a hole, emptying all the habits, love, and memories accumulated over a long time. But fortunately, having fulfilled Lee, I can bear the consequences. I went upstairs. From the window on the stairs, I saw Ashton squatting by the roadside. The street lamp was dim, and he merged with the night. It's all over. During the Mid-Autumn Festival, I picked pomegranates at home. The pomelos were also ripe and sweet. I packed a lot of each and sent them out. The message attached to the box: a person with a full mouth has no right to talk. If you call me a love-struck fool again, I'll beat you one by one. But they said it didn't matter. It's just an excuse to stretch their muscles and practice their punches. In the golden autumn, the weather is always bright and sunny. The winery owner sent another box of wine. To be honest, I have reason to suspect that this old guy wants to kill me. I complained to Finn that I'm breaking up, not suffering from a broken heart. If we really have to be particular, I dumped Ashton. Why should I drown my sorrows in wine? Finn, having fulfilled my essay, along with others, started a group video call, forming a united front. Even Troy, who is usually taciturn, spoke up. Nora, why didn't we realize before that you're so vain? Fine. So what if I'm vain? We joked around for a while. Then Finn met up with Wendy and waved in the video. We're going to queue up first. You all hurry up. The last one to arrive has to sing in the restaurant. They're so insidious. I calculated in my mind that Troy just returned to the country. Just got off the plane. And is the farthest away. It's 10 minutes before I get off work. If I drive fast, I definitely won't be the last one. Rarely. I didn't plan to work overtime. My colleagues thought it was strange. But I was in a hurry to leave and didn't have time to explain. Before leaving, a clay figurine on the table caught my eye. It was made in a pottery studio when I traveled with Ashton in Jing City. Ashton doesn't have good hands-on skills. But he has a high taste. He thought the clay figurine was too ugly and wanted to throw it away. But I insisted on keeping it. I cherished it and put it on my work desk. Whenever I was unhappy, I would pinch the only ear of the clay figurine. As if I was really teasing Ashton. Now looking at this clay figurine, I'm a bit worried. It's a waste to throw it away. I'd better find a chance to send it to Ashton. Finn sent the location. A new online famous restaurant on Highway Road. When I got there, Troy as expected hadn't arrived yet. Wendy and Finn were still arguing about what to eat. About 15 minutes later, Troy also arrived. The 4-person team got together again. And everyone was in high spirits. Especially Troy. Now as a well-known singer touring everywhere, he has a different demeanor. The punishment, of course, didn't come late. But this was a piece of cake for Troy. After a song ended, loud applause rang out in the restaurant, and even some people came over to ask for his contact information. Finn kept teasing Troy, saying that being famous is different now. Wendy echoed several times but didn't notice the gentle look in Troy's eyes when he looked at Wendy. Except me. But I won't say anything. Everyone can watch the show. I'm vengeful. It's rare for us to meet, and we talked about all kinds of things without getting bored. After dinner, we went to a bar opened by Finn's friend. As soon as I sat down, Ashton sent a voice message. I'm on a date with Arya. She looks beautiful today. Yeah. Arya has always been beautiful. I'm going to be with her. Oh, congratulations. Nora. What on earth do you want? I'll tell you one last time. If you give in now, I'll give you a chance. The voice on the other side was a bit noisy. With constant noise. Ashton was bossy. But every sentence seemed a bit weak. As if he was forcing it. I can probably understand Ashton's current state. He's not reconciled. Not satisfied. And he thinks I'm just throwing a tantrum to make him care. Maybe he does have a bit of reluctance towards me. 8 years of relationship at least means we were compatible to some extent. But this bit of reluctance and compatibility isn't enough for me to keep indulging. Everyone wants more. Rather than being treated like a small animal. Getting some benefits from time to time and thinking that the other person will always be by your side. The brain is a good thing. Maybe Ashton doesn't have one. I was too lazy to reply and blocked him. Since we want to break up, it should be clean and not be dragged out. Fen and the others noticed something and tried to distract me. I could only say again that I'm fine. Better than ever. Everything Ashton does now is pushing me to be more calm. The lights in the bar were dim. A strange number called. I answered it. And it was Ashton. He was using someone else's phone. His voice low. Why can't you give in to me just once? I glanced at Fen and the others who were trying to eavesdrop and went to the restroom. When he didn't hear my voice on the other side, he shouted several times. Are you there? Ashton. It's not about giving in or not. You still don't understand. You can't give me the same amount of love. I don't like this. So we break up. Can't Ashton even understand such a simple thing? I'll change. I replied with a smile. I don't believe it. Ashton's breathing seemed to stop. He said intermittently. Well, then I hope you have a good life. I'll also have a good life with Arya. We'll get married. Have children. Go on a honeymoon trip together. And, I interrupted him. That's great. Congratulations. I was about to hang up the phone when I heard a familiar voice on Ashton's side. It seemed like Wendy was calling Troy. It can't be such a coincidence. Right? I looked at Finn. In the booth on their right, Ashton was holding a wine glass. And there were 7 or 8 empty whiskey bottles on the table. Arya and Ashton were separated by one seat. She looked at Ashton quietly. With a strange emotion in her eyes. As if it was pity. I'm hanging up. Wish you well. Wait. Ashton's expression was pained. And he trembled. Nora. I regret it. I was wrong. After saying this. He stared blankly at the phone like a prisoner waiting for execution. I didn't quite understand. But I could answer this question. You don't need to regret. You're drunk. I'll tell Maxwang to take you back. Clearly. We had broken up. But I messaged D. Maxwang more frequently than before. Ashton didn't notice the flaw in this statement. He said nervously. I'm not drunk. Don't hang up the phone. Don't hang up even if you hate me. Ashton's Adam's apple moved. And he seemed as powerless as if drowning. Just let me hear your voice. I've listened to all the voice messages you sent me before. I don't want to know. Okay. His voice was bitter. Nora. Come over and drink. Tang Yuan is so bad at it. He can't do it at all. Wendy's voice was quite loud. After all, it wouldn't be heard in the bar if it was too soft. Ashton searched for the source of the sound. Soon, let out a low sigh. His eyes fell on me. His gaze was clear. Pitiful, self-abased. And remorseful. He had received his punishment. What he had said earlier about the sweet date with Arya was self-refuted. He wanted to hide. Not to be seen in such an embarrassed state. But at the same time, he wanted to be noticed. But it didn't matter anymore. Ashton. Everyone should look forward. We'll all have a very good future. I hung up the phone. Walked through the crowd. And didn't look at him even once. But the blessing had been delivered. With a snap, I turned my head. Ashton punched the glass table. The glass shattered. And scarlet blood flowed from Ashton's arm. Arya was so frightened that she quickly checked his injury. Ashton just looked at me. Ignoring the wounds. Staring straight at me. Waiting for me. I forced myself not to be soft-hearted and repeated one sentence in my mind over and over again. Why bother? Arya. Take him to the hospital. I said. The last glimmer of hope in Ashton's eyes finally dimmed and disappeared in that instant. After the farce in the bar, Finn completely recognized that I'm not an ordinary person. Even a few days later, he was still reminiscing about that scene and spared no praise. Comrade Nora. You really should teach those people a lesson. After thinking for a while, he thought it was a bit inappropriate and added, considering your stance changes too quickly. You can first teach people how to be infatuated and lose their minds. And then teach them how to cut off love and be beautiful on their own. The more he talked, the more excited he became. And he was extremely sincere. Nora. No, it should be Nora. How about forming a partnership? Troy will contribute the principal. You'll invest with your skills. And I'll manage the company. Then we can get rich soon? Who cares about you? Wendy taunted him unceremoniously. Is it because your face is bigger? So your daydreams smell better than others? Fine, wet on a lull sigh. I'll be the one to make a compromise and only take 30. Finn said with a playful smile. As if the company would go public next month. And as an original shareholder, he would instantly achieve financial freedom with an endless-looking balance in his bank card. Troy couldn't stay for a few days. And Wendy also had to go to the Northwest with her team to shoot a new work. Before leaving, they made an appointment for the next meeting time. Life seemed to be back to normal. Yet it didn't seem so. Max Wang came to me many times, hoping that I could go to the hospital to see Ashton. I could only repeatedly say that I wouldn't go. At the beginning of my relationship with Ashton, he didn't pay much attention to me. He didn't reply to my messages countless times. Sometimes, I could only contact Ashton through Max Wang. After repeated interactions, we got along fairly well. However, no matter how much friendship there was, it couldn't withstand being worn away by the other party. In the end, I said, Leo, do you want me to block you too? Max Wang sighed and didn't persuade me anymore. But after seeing off Max Wang, Caleb came. He was Ashton's childhood friend and had a good relationship with Ashton. He found me at the company. I couldn't avoid meeting him. So I made an appointment with him at the coffee shop downstairs. Caleb started by apologizing on behalf of Ashton. I know Ashton didn't treat you well in the past, and I have no right to come to you. But he's in the hospital now. If we delay any longer, the situation will get worse. And he might even become disabled. The hand Ashton punched the table with was the same one that was injured in the car accident. It was repeatedly injured and not properly treated. Max Wang had told me about this. But so what? You're his good friend. None of you can make him cooperate with the doctor. Why do you think I can persuade Ashton? Caleb was stunned and said in a deep voice. Nora. Just do us a favor. At least get through this. After that, no matter what happens between you two, I won't come to you again. But I don't want to. I don't want to have any connection with Ashton anymore. We've broken up. Caleb. Don't you think you're forcing me? Caleb fell silent. Yes. It was forcing. Caleb understood, but he was still trying to morally bind me in front of me. As if I didn't help, I would be sorry for my life and the past relationship with Ashton. Was it fair? Caleb said dryly. Ashton is different now. He'll treat you differently. How is he different? I asked. Caleb stammered and couldn't come up with a reason. You see, even you don't know what to say. You can't guarantee it. And even you think Ashton was very irresponsible to me in the past. Caleb. Don't come again. If I go, it will only give him the feeling that he can still control me. This is a vicious cycle. For a bad relationship, if you want to stop it, you can only cut it off directly without leaving any hope. Caleb still left. He looked into my eyes as if saying I was too cruel. I understood. Everyone's heart has a bias. He was Ashton's friend. So naturally, he was on his side. But actually, there was another reason why I didn't want to go to the hospital. I was also afraid that I would be soft-hearted. I was afraid that I would be moved by his pitiful situation and eventually go back to that 8-year-long road full of thorns and without an end. My colleagues in the company were worried that I had encountered difficulties and asked me what was wrong. There had been so many people looking for me recently. I could only force myself to answer that it was nothing. Nora, if you really have something wrong, don't forget to tell us. Got it. I thanked them. But I still couldn't get into high spirits. My intuition told me that this matter wouldn't end easily. So when I received Victor's call, I even felt a sense of relief that it had finally come. Ashton's parents went to Beifeng town to find Victor and the others, hoping that they could persuade me to go and see Ashton. Victor and the others wouldn't influence my decision. But they, being kind-hearted, still promised to contact me. Here it comes again. I thought to myself. I agreed to the request and even asked Max Wang for the hospital address immediately and went to Ashton's ward. With a heart that was hard to soften again. When I arrived at the hospital, Arya, Caleb, and Max Wang were all there. Max Wang and the others were about to leave. I waved my hand. You don't need to leave. Ashton, who was hiding under the quilt in the hospital bed, seemed to move slightly, but finally, he didn't turn around. I could only walk up to him and saw that his eyes were closed tightly. His face was unshaven. His complexion was pale. And there were many needle marks on his exposed hands. Ashton, I know you can hear me. I don't like being threatened. You know? You made your relatives and friends pester me to come here. But what's the use of me coming? Do you think it can change anything? After a while, Ashton finally said hoarsely. I didn't. Yes, hadn't fulfilled my obsession. You didn't. You didn't give the order actively. But if you stopped them from coming to me, wouldn't they listen to your opinion? Ashton still kept his eyes closed, not daring to meet my gaze. I said infuriately. Whether you want to or not, you're threatening me. But all this has nothing to do with me. You're receiving passive treatment. And you're wasting away. Your friends feel sorry for you. And even Ashton's parents, who didn't like me in the past, are begging me, saying that they're sorry for me and asking me not to torture their son anymore. I don't understand. I've never wanted to torture anyone. I just wanted a relationship where we both liked each other. Was I asking for too much? All of you are looking at me, blaming me, thinking that I'm not kind enough. You all think that since Ashton has turned over a new leaf, why can't I just let go of my pride? Yes, having fulfilled my obsession. As long as he gives in, all the blame will instantly come at me. But I have my dignity too. I have thoughts and feelings. It really doesn't feel good to be repeatedly confirmed that my love is in vain and that I'm a joke. Can't you guys understand me? I'm also a person. I liked someone. But now I don't like him anymore. It's such a simple thing. Can't you understand me? I thought I had grievances in my heart. Especially when Ashton's father and mother came to my house, making Victor and the others know that my past relationship was a mess, full of humility and contempt. But when I actually said these words, I realized that it didn't matter. It wasn't my fault. Loving someone seriously wasn't a fault, and giving up on someone wasn't a fault either. My voice gradually became smaller. But I knew they could hear me. Arya, Caleb, Max Wang, each of them had a different expression. And finally, they all became silent. What on earth should I do? Ashton? Tell me. What should I do? I murmured. I clearly gave you my heart, put it right in front of you. But you treated it like a worthless thing. Now, what right do you have to look like this? Ashton finally opened his eyes. His expression was desperate, and his eyes were filled with tears involuntarily. I'm sorry. This was the only thing Ashton could say over and over again. At this moment, he was like a child who had done something wrong, asking for forgiveness, and being at a loss because he couldn't get it. I don't need it anymore. Ashton choked and said, I'll cooperate with the doctor and actively receive treatment. I won't let them bother you anymore. And I won't make things difficult for you. But I have a question to ask you. Why did you regret? It's not regret. Ashton said. So? Ashton fell silent. I didn't know why he didn't want to explain the reason. But it didn't matter. After getting things clear, it was time for me to leave. To Arya, who didn't come to me, I was still kind. Arya, You're getting more and more beautiful. Arya smiled weakly and finally didn't know how to respond. I walked out of the ward. Not 2 steps away. I heard heart-rending cries coming from inside. It had always been me who shed tears. This time, finally, hadn't felt my absai. It was him. I walked along the corridor, feeling the faint saltness in the air. But it didn't matter anymore. I promised Arya to take Ashton out of the blacklist. However, I'm a little curious. This request would be fine if it came from someone else. But why Arya? She has a deep relationship with Ashton. And it's always been like that. Now that I'm no longer in the way, wouldn't it be the perfect time for them to be affectionate? Could it be that she just can't stand seeing Ashton regretting and feeling heartbroken for a while? So she chose to help him? I didn't speculate too much because the company took on a project. And the leader specifically named me to handle it. I needed to start preparing materials. The other party is a technology company with a great development momentum. The boss, Caleb, is very young and focuses on the drone field. Many investment companies are optimistic about it. Almost everyone thinks that once it goes public, the company's valuation will skyrocket, earning back all the investments 5 or 10 times over. I originally thought that this company would take advantage of its superiority and make all kinds of demands. But Caleb was surprisingly easygoing. The conditions were lenient, almost equivalent to actively sharing the benefits. The project was signed quickly, and I received a generous bonus. The envy in the eyes of other colleagues in the department was almost overflowing. Nora, did you go to a master to change your luck recently? How else could you come across such a good thing? Luna was extremely envious but not jealous. In the end, several of us made an appointment to have a big meal to share the good fortune. Before getting off work, a delivery guy brought a bunch of roses. Specifically for Nora. Me? My colleague started to make a commotion again. Nora, you're successful in love and career. How can the rest of us live like this? However, when asking about the sender's information, all we could find out was that it was from a nearby flower shop, with no more details. After thinking for a while, I took the flowers and went downstairs. Not far from the company building, there was a Land Rover parked. It wasn't too eye-catching here. I crossed the crosswalk and threw the bouquet of flowers into the roadside trash can. I turned around and headed for the subway station instead of driving back. In the crowded platform, a familiar figure faintly emerged. 20 minutes later, I was standing in a Mullet Ang restaurant outside the community. The food here has an authentic taste, and the boss and his wife regularly show their affection as a bonus. So many people come here to check in. Nora, today's family-sized set comes with a postcard, Ella said with a smile. Then I'll have this one. By the way, add extra spicy. The waiter brought over the Mullet Ang, which was obviously much redder than others, making people's mouths water. After eating and taking a short walk, I returned to Ella's Mullet Ang restaurant. The landlady was teaching Finn math and was already furious, her eyes constantly glancing at the stick beside her. You are, how could you be this stupid? You've inherited all your dad's pig-like brain. I didn't pass on any of my smart genes to you at all. Leo, Abusho, hearing this in the kitchen, couldn't help but chime in, saying it was so right and it was simply a warning to the world. I felt a bit hurt. Brother, that's enough. You're overdoing it. Ella, feeling a bit embarrassed, told Finn to go play by himself. And then gossiped. Nora, that handsome guy came again. He ordered the same thing as you. He can't even eat spicy food. And every time he looks like he's about to die. Why does he do this? Ella coughed lightly. Don't you think he's strange? If he wants to chase you, he should just do it. Why does he act like a pervert? Maybe you should talk to him clearly. He's such a handsome guy, but he's getting thinner and thinner. I know. I didn't feel touched in my heart, just a bit helpless. I can understand part of what Ashton has done, but I can't fully empathize. Does he think this is fun? Or is it that he's used to my humble position over the past 8 years? And now that there's a change, he feels uncomfortable. Even thinking that this emotion is reluctance or nostalgia? I thought Ashton would be happier after the breakup. What he's doing only proves one thing to me: I've never really understood him. Even when we were as close as being intimate, the Ashton under that handsome face still never revealed his true feelings to me. Ashton was interviewed by the media as an outstanding entrepreneur, and the video was shown at a large department meeting. The leader hinted that if we could cooperate with Ashton, things would go more smoothly in the information technology industry. Some colleagues lamented that Ashton was young and promising, with a high net worth. Although he was good-looking, he was too thin, almost looking gaunt, and his eyes were gloomy. Even an experienced host would get stuck during the interview because he seemed difficult to get along with. Such a person is probably hard to cooperate with. I won't even think about it. Luna and the others had seen Ashton come to pick me up from a distance and knew about the car he drove. So they roughly knew that my boyfriend had a good financial situation. But they never knew that my boyfriend was actually Ashton. Before the meeting was over, the department's small group exploded. Nora is amazing. Nora has been hiding her capabilities. Take me with you. I also want my career to go smoothly. Please. There were teasing jokes, and sincere envy. I replied with a bitter smile that we had broken up. I originally wanted to forget about this matter. But instead, I ended up in an even more embarrassing situation. Sam, at the front, was anxious. I can't take back the messages. Don't leave me alone in this awkward situation. Sam, Nora. I was wrong. How about I treat you to coffee? I think this Ashton doesn't seem like a good person. It's right that you broke up with him. God knows what unknown quirks he has behind his back. The unexpected understanding from colleagues. The gentle and firm support from friends. And the constant love and care from parents. Why on earth did I focus all my attention on Ashton in the past? I really had bad judgment. After the meeting, the leader talked to me and directly hinted that I could have more contact with Ashton. After I declined, the leader wasn't angry. But a few days later, someone in the company's big group said that Ashton had come. Ashton was handsome and always in the spotlight wherever he was. Luna pulled me to go on a market research to avoid him. Unexpectedly, having fulfilled my desire, we happened to meet him in the hall on the 19th floor. Ashton was accompanied by the leader. When he saw me coming, his smile grew wider. Ashton, let me introduce you. This is Nora, a senior investment manager in our department. She's very capable. Nora, come over and say hello. I understood what was going on. Hello, Ashton, I said flatly. Ashton seemed a bit overwhelmed. His eyes shining brightly, showing a completely different bright color from when he was being interviewed. Nice to meet you. Nora, are you free? I have a project available, and I was wondering if Ashton needs it. Of course I'm free. Ashton invited me to dinner, and the leader hinted that I should make good use of this resource. After arriving at the restaurant, Ashton took the initiative to order food, all of which were my favorites. What happened to your hand? Ashton's smile remained unchanged, and he said casually, it's nothing. It's just not as flexible as before. He was a perfectionist. Yet he said this naturally at this moment. This is my own problem. Nora, don't be sad. What do I have to be sad about? Ashton, everyone has their own future. I won't be sad for an irrelevant person. Ashton's eyelids twitched. But he didn't respond. He just politely called the waiter to change the tableware. Before we even started eating, someone sent a bouquet of flowers. I looked at Ashton and threw the flowers directly into the trash can. Couldn't see clearly in the car? Do you have to see it with your own eyes to be satisfied? Ashton's face turned pale in an instant. His lips trembling. He only said, I didn't mean anything else. I just wanted to experience what you did back then and understand how you felt. Atone for your sins? I don't need it. I said. These 8 years weren't your fault. You don't need to feel sorry for me. I'll be even harsher than you were back then. I won't give you even a glimmer of hope. I said sincerely. Ashton, you can't bear it. You'll be devastated. Those days were so tough that no one could endure them. I won't, Ashton almost instinctively replied, with an inexplicable firmness. I'll die if you're not by my side. I can't accept that under any circumstances. Ashton said he hoped to compensate me. So he always came to the company under the pretext of business. and so it went until the end of the year. Due to company cooperation, I could only maintain polite communication with him. Everything was quiet. And it was also a time of renewal. During this period, whenever Ashton was free, he would post updates. For example, he went to Mount Emmy to watch the sunrise, went fishing at sea, and went bungee jumping on Sun King Mountain. He did all the things I had once imagined. He posted one photo at a time. And every few minutes, he would update with the next one. The caption was always looking forward to being with you. Ashton's intention was obvious. And there was no need to explain who he was sending these to. The frequent updates made it difficult for anyone to miss them even if they wanted to. But it was so annoying. I took the initiative to contact him. Almost instantly, he replied, "I'm here. Do you need any help? Is something wrong? Should I come to you now?" Ashton. What are you still expecting? I thought I had made it very clear. I'm tired. I'm just an ordinary worker. I'm busy every day and have very little free time. I browse moments to make myself happy. Not. I understand. I'm sorry. Ashton didn't say anything else. When I clicked on his profile picture, his moments had already been set to private. I resigned. My colleagues tried to persuade me to stay, and the leader was regretful. In the end, he could only sigh and say that if it was because of Ashton, he wouldn't make decisions without permission in the future. I'm glad they sincerely wanted me to stay, leaving a satisfactory end to my career here. But this was only part of the reason. Fundamentally, having fulfilled Wansai, I wanted to make a change. I wanted to be a volunteer, travel around, and experience the local customs and cultures of different places. Staying in one place all the time would make people feel stifled. After leaving the job, Ashton came to me once and asked if I left because of him. I didn't want to get entangled with him, so I replied no. However, Ashton obviously still misunderstood. Fortunately, he finally stopped pestering me. On the first day of getting rid of my office worker identity, I slept until the afternoon. And then I went to climb Mount Wugong full of energy. At this time of the year, there are few people camping on the Golden Summit. But the sunrise is like an obsession for travelers. Even though it's freezing cold, the Golden Summit is still crowded with people watching the sunrise. After coming back from Mount Wugong, I caught a cold and had no energy. I could only lie on the sofa and watch TV dramas. That's when Arya came to me. "Nora, can you listen to me?" Arya's tone was almost pleading. Her eyes filled with sorrow. Arya wouldn't come to my door without reason. Naturally, her visit was related to that person. She sized me up cautiously and said, Actually, Ashton has never liked me. I've known him for many years. He's been very smart since he was a child. He learned everything more easily than ordinary people. Wherever he went, he had countless admirers. But that wasn't the real him." Arya gave a bitter smile. "Maybe the him I know isn't the complete Ashton either." Putting aside those empty words, Ashton has never been a person who believes in love. His parents had a bad relationship, and he was abducted by relatives when he was a child. Although he was found later, he developed a proud and arrogant personality, not trusting others. But all these were hidden so well that even we, his childhood friends who have known him for 10 to 20 years, often doubt whether this understanding of him is just another mask. Precisely because of this, he doesn't believe that others will be sincere to him. From the moment he was with you, what he thought was to prove that this love was false. Proving love to be false. Something that ordinary people could never think of. Ashton did it. His mood swings. Deliberately making you dissatisfied. Including all the things with me. And the schemes and means that I don't know but should exist. Were all on purpose. But Nora, you're different. From the first time I saw you, I found that you were special. You're sincere, straightforward, persistent, and passionate. Even if Ashton did many things that made you unhappy, you were willing to tolerate him and love him. I noticed that he also changed. Sometimes he deliberately went shopping with me, trying to make you jealous. But then he would mention the things you usually did during the shopping, casually showing off how good you were to him. I guess he didn't even realize that he had fallen in love with you. One was fearful and suspicious. The other was straightforward and sincere. Like ice and water. Entangled for 8 years because of an absurd reason. So, what do you want from me? Arya's eyes were filled with sorrow. And her expression was complicated. She was stunned for a moment and said, I hope you can give Ashton a chance. Although he seems fine on the surface. I know. He's dying. It had been more than 3 months since I last came to Jinking Times. I followed Arya and saw a home that was extremely desolate. The air conditioner and heater were not turned on. Everything was icy cold. Ashton was huddled in a corner of the sofa. His eyes empty and unfocused. Ashton. It's cold. You should turn on the air conditioner. Arya said with pity. It's okay. Ashton said. Looking at the TV backdrop wall. His voice sounding like a rusty gear. I'm not cold. If you love her. Then go find her. No matter how she refuses. Keep pestering her. We're worried about you. Without Nora. Are you going to give up on life? If you love her. You should fight for her. The cold gradually seeped in. Becoming hard to resist. Arya babbled on a lot. It was the first time I saw my relationship with Ashton from her perspective. It was. Well. Kind of absurd. I glanced at Arya. Knowing that she was trying to make me soft-hearted. Ashton was like a corpse. Only when he heard certain words would he show some signs of life. Stiffly responding. Nora. Nora. He just repeated the name. Pausing for a moment each time. His voice squeezed out from his throat. Like a broken bellows. I can't go to find Nora. Nora doesn't want to see me. She doesn't like me. She hates me. If I go near her again. She'll hate me even more. She'll quit her job and even move. Then I really won't be able to find Nora. I won't be able to find Nora. Ashton's condition was really bad. This wasn't an act. When Arya said he was dying. She might mean that his heart was dying. Ashton? It's me. Ashton's body stiffened slightly. He wanted to turn his head but didn't dare. He curled up. His face haggard and decadent. Then, let out a low sigh. As if he found a way. He covered his face with his hands and eagerly explained. It wasn't me. Nora. I didn't ask Arya to find you. I didn't lie to you. He also pleaded. Like someone trying to deceive themselves. I'm not looking at you. Nora. I'm not looking at you. This shouldn't bother you. Right? Don't disappear. At least let me know your news. As long as we live in the same city. I can never see you. I really can. Go away. If you don't see me. You won't be bothered. I know you hate me. I won't let you see me. You can't see me. You can't see me. You can't see me. Ashton was almost crazy. Trying to hide himself. His tall 1.85-meter body was forced to curl up into a small ball. And he kept trying to disappear. Tears fell from his eyes one by one. But he was afraid of being annoying and tried to hide them. Arya turned her head away. Not daring to look anymore. Her eyes red. Ashton. Ashton finally couldn't control himself. He roared helplessly. Pleaded. And even knelt on the ground. I was wrong. Don't look at me. Don't. Leave me. I'm in so much pain. Nora. I'm in so much pain. Should I go die? Will you be happy then? Will you forgive me? Then I'll go die right now. Okay? He suddenly stood up. Aimed at the wall. And tried to hit it. I could only rush over to stop him. But he pushed me against the wall. And my back hit the wall. Causing excruciating pain. Ashton panicked. Filled with fear and self-blame. I didn't mean to. Nora. Suddenly. He couldn't speak. His throat couldn't bear the intensity of the roar. And he lost his voice for a short time. Ashton. Stand up. Don't make me look down on you. The Ashton I liked was open-minded. Handsome. And elegant. I don't regret these 8 years. Even if we were apart. We should each be well. Ashton shook his head. I owe. Arya told me everything. Ashton. Do you know what I'm thinking now? The 8 years that I loved. Suffered. And was happy in. Actually from the beginning were based on your suspicion. Ashton. You really should die. Unconcealed malice emerged. Ashton couldn't speak coherently. Only whimpering. as if repenting and atoning for his sins. Arya is telling me all this now just to make me feel sorry for you. But how can I feel sorry for you? You deliberately made me heartbroken for 8 years. In the end, can it be made up for just by saying that you don't understand love and don't believe in love? You trampled on my sincere feelings for 8 years. And now you expect me to feel sorry for you. What? Should I even congratulate you? Look. You've proven it. You were right. There's no true love in the world. I was so passionate and sincere back then. But in the end, after just 8 years, I'm leaving you too. You're really too much. I crazily vented all my unwillingness and resentment. Arya's plan had backfired. Why should I feel sorry for such an obstinate, strange, and loveless person? Ashton wanted to cry but couldn't make a sound. He wanted to apologize but knew that nothing he said would be useful. But Ashton, you've been very tired all these years, right? I asked softly. Ashton looked at me in disbelief. Then slumped and curled himself up. No. No. I stroked his hair. As intimately as when we were together. At that time, I wanted to hold him tightly, not wanting to be apart for even a moment. Ashton, I can forgive you, but can you promise me one thing? He looked at me. His eyes blood red. This world is really wonderful. Ashton. Don't doubt it. Love this world. Okay? Ashton seemed to realize something and suddenly struggled. Looking helpless and desperate. He said hoarsely. But there won't be another one. There won't be a second Nora who's silly enough to love unconditionally, and is willing to offer her heart to be needed for 8 years. I only want Nora. You're not Nora. Nora will always be good to me. You're a liar. You're not Nora. He deceived himself. Not willing to accept it. But in the end, Ashton just choked and said, I know. I'll love this world as if I love you. Snowflakes like goose feathers began to float outside the window. It's snowing. Ashton. In this battle in the name of love. No one was wrong because everyone is special. And it's natural to allow differences among people. Of course. There's no winner either because the past is finally gone. But more importantly, the future is always ahead. I've never hated you. Really. The world knows this.